This is Happy Halloween, Little Santa by Louis Trondheim and Thierry Robin, which, as you might have guessed, is the sequel to Little Santa. This came out in 2002 in America. Happy Halloween, Little Santa came out from NBM Press in 2003. Once again, 48-page album, hardcover book, looks great, great paper, 16 panel pages, all of them completely silent. There is no cheating anywhere in this book. There is no labels that happen to sneak by. This is not just a dialogue-free comic. It is a completely silent comic. There's no dialogue. There's no labels. There's no words in this one. And once again, Santa Claus is a cute little bugger, and he starts off his day with a fine breakfast. He meets with his friends, the Abominable Snowman. Hold on. He's on the back cover. They give his exact name. The Abominabable Snowman. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not. Let me check the original book. The Abominabable Snowman. Yep, that's his real name. I still can't pronounce it. But I adore this book. And it annoys me to some degree that they didn't have a chance to put out the third volume. There is a third volume. I'm looking for it now on eBay and all the thrift bookstores. It's available. It's fairly cheap. You just have to get it from France, and that'll take some time to come in. So stay tuned. Hopefully there will be a third review in this series. This time out, as you might have guessed from the very cover, Snowman is just so cute. I mean, you just want to give him a big hug. He reminds me a little bit of Gossamer from the Bugs Bunny cartoons, except he was red. But he's a happy man. Santa just wants to go have his lunch, but he hears something as he's walking through. There's this, well, he hears something and he sees something. We'll show you. This event is happening. This weird mummy guy is piloting this weird green monster guy, and that's a little weird for Santa Claus, and it's something he's going to have to take a look into. But first, he keeps looking back and has a bunch of pratfalls, keeps tripping over the root, smacks into the tree, has a branch hit him on the way. It's just a lot of great visual, physical humor that you don't get all that much in comics, or if you do, they kind of slam you hard with it and move on. This book just keeps repeatedly hitting you with it because it has these 16-panel pages. It can do that kind of thing. And so when you do have a case like this where they play with the format and you combine 8 of the panels into one tall panel, it's just super cool. This is kind of like the Ewok tree he's going up into. Here's a beautiful splash of it. I love this kind of, fantasy architecture type stuff in the tree with all these little tree houses, with all the stairs that go through there. There's the drop rope ladder they're coming up on. It's just so peaceful looking, but it's also creative. It looks cool. It's colored well. The whole thing is just great. And from up top, up at the peak, you can find where his Halloween friends are coming from. Yes, folks, this book does happen to have been created in 2001, originally in France, serialized in Spirou Journal. Obviously, The Nightmare Before Christmas may have been somewhat of a slight influence on the book, let's just say, but it's not the same story. It's different characters altogether. Completely different thing. It does mix Halloween and Santa and Christmas. That's as close as it gets. More great visual humorous stuff. Santa Claus sees from the top that the Halloween guys are getting stuck in the water, stuck in the ice as it breaks free from under them. So they immediately go to their job to try to help save them, even though they've never formally met. Santa Claus is a good guy. He wants to go save him, and darn near gets torched for it because, surprise, surprise, the Halloween characters do things like spew fire. I mean, just look how cute he is. Anyway, so this is the first half of the book, right? It's the first half of the book is Santa Claus meeting the Halloween characters, inviting them back up to his house, and discovering that they brought a house with them. And when they give gifts, their gifts do crazier things than Santa Claus's gifts. And also, the Halloween characters are nocturnal. They like to have a party at night. They have a fire out there, they're singing songs, they're scaring each other, they're dancing, they're having all the fun in the world. Santa Claus is a little tired. And he asks them to be quiet, and he wakes up in the morning and sees something else is going on in the forest. Once again, climbs up to the top of the tree, takes a look over, and discovers this thing is coming at him. This is a big, giant, automated logger machine. This is where the book's second half begins, and the second half of the story, and you can already see from the very first instance of these characters or this machine existing, you already know Santa Claus is going to defeat them with the help of the Halloween creatures. We need those powers, those crazy fire powers to get the job done. Even with Santa and his elves and his snowman and all the rest, he's going to need more help, and it's going to come from the Halloween characters. Question number 2, has there ever been a story in popular media where loggers are the good guys? Probably not. It's usually a shorthand for an environmental story. It's the Lorax, or it's this story, or it's, I think there's an X-Files episode too, where the loggers are the bad guys. And of course it goes overboard explaining that, where if you follow this machine closely enough, they take down whole trees and spit out a matchstick from it. So, be prepared for an over-the-top, hitting you on top of the head message, but, it's a cartoony book. We'll let them get away with it. They go into war against the machine. They get inside the machine, see how it works. The loggers, of course, are these big brutes with flannel shirts who can take a potted plant of a tree for a gift and rip it through their teeth and spit it out and make another matchstick probably from the bark as it is. And so the story goes. It's so cute, though. It's just the artistry, the storytelling, the way they use the 16-panel page, the way they break it up. This is an interesting layout here where they have one tier, and then there's 2 panels. There's a 4-block, another 2 panels. You think this would almost go together, but it doesn't. Just keep reading across like you would normally. The panel borders are not solid block. They look like a crayon line or a charcoal line or something. I like that look as well, considering how perfectly finished the rest of the art is. There's some gradient coloring in the background, but there's not really much in the way of... Well, there's some shadow work in there, not in Santa's beard so much, but in his clothes. Here's the inside of the Halloween house, which, you might remember from the first book where they had the inside of the elves' workstation, where we got to see them making the gifts and filling the gifts and shipping out the gifts. This is kind of an echo back to that, where you get to take a look at just some crazy stuff in the Halloween house. Lots of details in there, kind of like a storybook 2-page spread there. Santa Claus and the mummy guy make their plans, and they go out. And, not so easily, but they do. They defeat the Lumberjacks, don't worry. All's well that ends well. And you have this beautiful little pastoral finale with the moon is in 3D and surrounded by other little moons. But this is a great book. Just like the first one, the second one is awesome. There's the main characters. This time we have the chief logger, plus the usual little Santa, Father Noel, they call him in France, Père Noel. The mummy, Nasty, of course, would be the name of the monster. The impies, who are kind of like the elves, and the Abominable Snowman. So... these 2 books, they're glorious. If you want to see what storytelling can look like, pure physical, visual storytelling of characters doing interesting things, which feels at some points like a children's storybook and at other points like storyboards for a cartoon, these books have it all. There is a third one. I'm hoping to have a review of it for you before Christmas. Fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes.